I just wanted to jump on real quick and share a story from the other day. I was going to do this later tonight, and it was going to be accompanied by an interview with Mama Celia, but the person that was recording the video stopped the recording in the beginning of the interview, so I guess we were just sitting there pointing a camera at Mama Celia that was not doing anything for a half an hour. So I have to go back and try to get another interview. I'm sure she'll be willing to do it, but unfortunately, all you're gonna get is the live stream because that video doesn't exist. That was not doing anything for. But it was an amazing experience, and I just want to share, do my best to describe this. I mean, it's very difficult without actually seeing it yourself, I think, to wrap your head around someone like Mama Celia. But she's a very, very tiny woman, and she's absolutely just brimming with energy. And she has probably the brightest smile that I've ever seen in my life. It just lights up the entire room. She's 63 years old, and she doesn't have a gray hair on her head, and she swears it's ayahuasca. She was actually born outside of the jungle, but at the age of 3, she was given by her parents back to her grandparents who lived deep in the jungle traditionally, and so she didn't see a town or a pueblo or even know what a town was until she was 17 years old. She told us that she spent, all of her childhood years running around in caverns and lagoons and, learning to call the monkeys and the birds, which is something I actually witnessed. We'll get to that. It was just absolutely incredible. And so she's a very sincere healer. She really cares about what she does, which isn't difficult, I guess, because it's amazing. But I feel like, with the advent of the ayahuasca industry, a lot of people, even people that I know that I really liked in the past, I think have gotten kind of corrupted. Drinking ayahuasca with people 1,000 times, it just becomes business. And a good friend of mine actually said that to me, that he had stopped because he said he wasn't connected to the people anymore, and it just became like a job. None of that with Mama Celia, though. You could tell she just absolutely delighted in running around in the jungle and in her backyard, in her personal garden, and just showing us every plant. I got to eat berries from amiruka, which is one of the DMT plants that they use here. So it brings you vision and it feeds you. It's not psychoactive alone. The berries are just fruit. But okay, so let's rewind a little bit. So when we got there, Mama Celia could barely speak, and she was very distressed at this because she said she's never been sick in her life. And it's easy to believe when you see the vitality of this woman at her age. And she said that it was exactly what I'm talking about, that that there are shamans in her village that are young men that are actors. They're not sincere. They're only in it for the money and the ego. And this group of individuals, their ill will, she believed, had taken her voice away. And she said, oh no, I'm not really sick. Don't worry, the ayahuasca will restore my voice. And indeed, she went from having no voice to totally normal again after the ayahuasca ceremony, which was a pretty impressive thing to see. I've never seen anyone recover from, a sore throat that that quickly. It was really nothing short of miraculous. And so we go into her maloka to drink, and she has tools that she's made, and one of my favorites is this large rattle that has 32 different seeds from 32 healing plants. So there's ayahuasca, chaliponga, I think she said maybe a pod of sangre de drago, the tree, this huge collection of 32 seeds in this giant rattle. And another really interesting tool is a giant snail shell, excuse me, that she would use in a minute, but let's get there in order. So another one of her, I guess, idiosyncrasies of her style is that she makes this punta, which is like a corn, she calls it whiskey, so let's call it corn whiskey. Very alcohol, and she serves a small shot of that for the ayahuasca, which may be a surprise to some people to hear that any alcohol at all is consumed, but it's just a small shot, delivers all these plants, and Mama Celia holds it in very high regard, this punta. And honestly, I think for good reason. After you take a shot of it, it's not the alcohol. You feel rejuvenated, very much so. And so we first drink the punta, and then with eyes wide open, she insists, she takes a big swig of this ginger and ayahuasca and tobacco mixture and blows it into your face, and it really stings your eyes. It hurts a lot. So there's that. I mean, it goes away pretty quickly, but you know, it's a bit of a shock for sure. And then she sings, once the ceremony starts, she will only speak or sing in Kichwa. And then also, you know, you can record up until she starts speaking in Kichwa, the preparation for the ceremony, but as soon as the Kichwa, ayahuasca was actually served in a hollowed out section of ayahuasca, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. And it's a very large cup. It is very bitter. It was probably the most bitter ayahuasca that I've ever drank. But it's very simple ayahuasca brew. It is only is the DMT. It's the chacruna that is used here. Basically, it's not chacruna, but it's a DMT containing plant. So the ayahuasca is served in a piece of ayahuasca, and then after the effect came on, once the medicine started to become strong, I noticed that Mama Celia had taken the shell and gone out in front of the hut, where she proceeded to make these bird whistles, and they call them monitos. In English, it's a marmoset monkey. Marmoset monkeys started squawking back at her right away, and then birds started hitting the leaves. I could hear them like slapping into the trees, and then calling back to her. And it wasn't just one species, maybe half a dozen species. So that was just an incredible thing to see. I mean, she's just such a little sprite, bouncing around and giggling and whistling the whistle, and eventually the animals got tired of it and left. And so I guess another notable moment, I didn't find out until the next day, I didn't hear about this, but I had two people with me, and one of them said that Mama Celia had said something to her about wanting to reach in and touch her heart, but not physically. And so I think this person declined that for some reason, but Austin, the other guest, did not decline, and he said that it felt like she used the shell to pull something out of his chest. And the thing is, he did not hear her say this to the other person because he doesn't speak Spanish. Mama Celia doesn't speak English. So, you understand what I'm saying? Austin understood her to be doing what she had asked this other person if she could do with the conch shell, which I thought was really something. And then in the morning, we walk back to the house. Mama Celia's voice is totally restored. You know, we do this interview and we talk a little bit more about the persecution in her neighborhood. So one of the reasons for this live stream, yeah, I'm pretty tired, John, for sure. One of the reasons for this live stream is that, you know, I'm really trying to encourage people to connect with us. Because when you support us and you come here to the retreats, one of the things that you will do is go and have an experience with Mama Celia. And it's not out of the question that she could have to move, it sounds like. And I'm sure that she will be very resistant to that. Her Maloka has been there for 30 years, but it sounds like the hostilities from these local people, the men, And this is a very misogynistic culture. It's a very patriarchal, and so there are a number of reasons why they don't like the fact that they have a woman there who is very successful. She was recently selected by the Ecuadorian government to go to a summit of shamans from Africa and North America, South America. Australia is represented. Every continent that has shamanism, the government selected a member and sent that person. So Mama Celia was the shamanic representative chosen by Ecuador to attend this summit. She's very proud of that. She also has some sort of medical title. My Spanish isn't great, so I'm not sure exactly what that is, but she's apparently has some formal training as a gynecologist. Really just an extraordinary person. And I don't think I mentioned that I really felt like it was a glimpse into what indigenous people were like before they were taken out of the jungle and, exposed to this culture. I mean, she's so uncomplicated and positive and full of energy. I mean, at 63, after 3 or 4 hours of sleep, she drank the ayahuasca as well. That's how it's done traditionally. We're all half of her age or less. One of us is 1/3, I guess, almost. And she's up at, 7 in the morning or something. I know because it woke me up. Cutting copal to make incense, to get the resin for the incense, and hacking down, the brush around the maloca, and had already cooked for us in a leaf the young tender shoots of a fern. Absolutely delicious. It's just crazy to see. And calling the animals with the snail shell whistle. I mean, I really think that this is one of very few people left that is, like Mama Celia. I mean, she literally didn't ever see a town until she was 17 years old. She didn't even speak Spanish. I don't know if she said until she was 13 or 13 years ago she learned to speak Spanish. She didn't start practicing publicly with ayahuasca until she was 58, because she said she considered it too sacred and felt that it was necessary to keep it secret. So she's a very pure soul. She's had very limited contact with the outside world until recently, when she was, sent by the Ecuadorian government to represent what's going on, Christ bearer, bright ruler. Until she was selected by the government to go to Switzerland. I think she's done some other international traveling to do ceremony, but she's really of the jungle in a very authentic way. And in the morning when we're sitting around, I kept thinking that we're overstaying. It's going to get on her nerves, and I was completely wrong. Can't hear. Uh-oh. I see my microphone died. Yeah, right? Hold on, let me fix this. Or you have audio. Okay. So, where was I? I'm sitting around thinking, we've got to be getting on her nerves. We've been here for hours just grilling her about all the plants and everything, walking through the jungle. We took our time, and no, she took us out in the backyard, and she's running around she has this huge garden of all these medicinal plants, and she's running around out there picking all these leaves and telling us the Kichwa name and, the medical uses. And then we go into this little ceremonial hut that she has on the house property is not connected to where the maloca. You have to walk out of the jungle and into the town to go to her house. And so, it's just really generous with her knowledge. Unfortunately, the interview didn't get recorded. So I'll have to do that again. But we go out there every couple of weeks now, I guess, until November. So there will be other opportunities, and I'll make sure that I get that done and get it out here. But yeah, in her house then after that, to show us all of her drums and pictures of her mom when she was 72 and also had no gray hair. You know, I think it's possible that some people just don't have a gene for gray hair, but Mama Celia swears it's the ayahuasca that keeps them so young. And her voice, you know, not having no voice. And it was interesting. She wasn't coughing. It's not like it was raspy. It's like she just couldn't speak. And, you know, to be honest, for a second, I thought, well, why didn't you cancel the ceremony? But she knew what she was doing. And so we just trusted that. And indeed, she basically vomited up her sore throat, or not. I mean, she said it wasn't sore, that her voice was just gone. And actually, I have a quick story that I'll tell you guys about this from my own experience. There's a guy that I was drinking with in my early ayahuasca days, and he had a friend that I wasn't super fond of that was often at ceremony. And I had two friends. One of them is my current partner, and the other was another girl. Both of them are a lot younger than me. And we were together a lot, walking around town. So he saw this, and he said to the shaman, I think llumiGnati has two girlfriends. And so I saw the shaman, he said, oh, by the way, can't remember the guy's name, so we'll call him his monkey boy. Monkey boy said that you have two girlfriends, and I said, well, I wish he would stop talking. And I saw monkey boy the next day, and I said hello, and he's like, his voice was gone. And I literally thought, I remember thinking, I will snatch the wind from your throat so that you can't profane the air with your lies, you know. I was being dramatic in my head. But then when I saw him and he actually couldn't speak, it really could just be a huge coincidence. He did get his voice back eventually. But, you know, I feel like I have experience of this, you know, willing someone's voice to disappear temporarily. But yeah, just as she claimed it would, the ayahuasca restored her voice. And so, yeah, so she showed us all of her traditional stuff and chatted for a while, and that's the story, basically. I know Heather, but I always make sure to consider all possibilities, and no matter what we think we know, there's always the possibility that we're wrong, especially when it comes to subjective experience. So I'm very careful not to objectively believe that I snatched the wind out of someone's throat because they were talking trash. You know what I mean? But I also am willing to consider that it's not a coincidence, and I think that's the best way to deal with this kind of stuff, is just to kind of leave it open-ended. As a sort of, you know, ontological safety mechanism, I guess. So you guys, you know, definitely come and see us. We still have a few spaces open for the retreat, which we're only doing till November. Mama Celia is featured. Also, we're going today to Puyo, which is a city nearby, and it's part of the retreat that we do 2 ethnobotanical tours. Omare, and the other one's just called the Orquídero. And Omeare is a Warani word. I think it means forest. They have Kichwa and Shuar guides, and also an English-speaking person. For both of these tours, I can arrange for the guide to speak English, so we don't have to worry about that. But the Orquídero was reforested by a single person, and sometimes he's there. It's like 7 hectares, and it was pasture land. And so in the late 1970s or early 80s, I can't recall exactly, he started bringing a mixture of sawdust and something else to, like sawdust and peat or something, and build up the forest floor so that they could replant the jungle. And he was a banker, so he had money, and he quit banking. This is an Ecuadorian gentleman, and he just started planting all the plants. And when you take the tour, before you go into the forest, you go into this building, and they show you the repopulation calendar. There's like these giant billboard sort of signs, and the first one is like 2003, and there's like, you know, 15 spiders or something and a few birds or whatever. Not 2003, much earlier, probably 1996, whatever, when they started tracking this. And as you go around the room, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds more. All of the photos are from the property. And so at the current juncture, they've gone from a handful of spiders that were there when it was pasture land to 400 species of spider alone. So, you know, it's really inspiring to see how a single person was able to turn this destruction of this area completely around. And he did it by himself. He brought 200 bags a day of this reforesting mixture that he created for like 20 years or something. And his daughter told us the story, and she said that it was only in the last like 13 years or something that he's had help. He did it all himself, and that just absolutely blew my mind. I mean, it's incredible. A single person rebuilt the jungle there, and so that's the Orchidero. And then Omare is a Shuar woman's project. She also didn't leave the jungle until she was 17 years old or something like that. I think 17. And her name is Teresa, and she assembled a group of Shuar women, and they did the same thing. They reforested this pasture land, and now it is Omare, and it's slightly different plants. The Orchidero has yeah, Johnny Jungle Trees, nice. The Orchidero has plants from all over the Amazon, so it's not necessarily rebuilt to reflect, like, you know, what's actually endemic or endogenous. But the Omare is actually all just the plants from here. So we are leaving, bye-bye, nowish, to go to Puyo much later than I planned. And I wanted to jump on and stream because it's been a few days. What's going on, Zon? No. Indigenous is people, endogenous is things. So like neurotransmitters are endogenous, trees are endogenous, plants are endogenous, people are indigenous. It's like that rule with Asian and Oriental. You know, Oriental is only like things and Asians are people. It's that same sort of rule, you know. Oh, was there another element to this story that I'm forgetting that's important? Oh, yes. Teresa, it does all female, all women circles where there are no men. So if that's something that's important to you, I'm finding as I'm doing this that there are a lot of women that don't want to drink ayahuasca with any men around. Because they have trauma associated with men, or, well, generally that's the reason. So that is something that we can put together for you. I'm sure Mama Celia would do it as well. So thank you guys so much for spending this time with me. We're way late getting on the road. And we have to get there before 5 o'clock. So do hit the like button, share, subscribe, support us on Patreon. We're demonetized. We get nothing for these videos and live streams. If you do not, definitely have a bunch of cool stuff sitting in the laptop. I'm just really busy and haven't gotten around to it, but we have some videos. Oh, there is one more element of this story. This boa necklace. I'm absolutely gutted. My jaguar claw, you guys, you know, if you watch my channel, you're familiar with the giant piece of rhodochrosite that used to be right here. They're gone. Came off in the river. I was swimming a week ago or so. So my jaguar claw I had attached to the other necklace, and then that chain broke. So both things, and so I was thinking, where am I gonna get another necklace? You know, there's just not a lot of stuff here. There are no like hippie rock shops that sell, you know, that kind of jewelry. And occasionally we get traveling hippies on the street that do have kind of interesting necklaces. But the Warani women, usually I've never seen them with anything but their seeds, the style of jewelry where they just basically made seeds with beads with seeds. And so there were all these vertebrae sitting in front of one of the Warani women, and I was like, no way, are those boa? You know, and indeed they are boa. So this was on the way to Mama Celia's house, and the next morning, Mama Celia just happened to mention, about 1 hour before you guys arrived yesterday, I found a boa out in the garden. So at roughly the exact same time that I acquired this boa necklace, Mama Celia had caught a boa. And I had never been in the ceremonial hut, and so I didn't know that there was a boa painted on the wall, and that her spirit animal is the boa. She's just all about boa energy. And so it seemed really fitting that I stumbled across this boa vertebrae necklace on my way to see her, and then discovered that she had also encountered a boa an hour before we arrived, and that's when I got the necklace. So really crazy energy in a very positive way. But yeah, it's how I imagine, you know, the indigenous spirit was before, I don't want to say before it was corrupted, but before it was integrated into the modern world. And it's also, I feel like her resilience and positivity and health and total absence of gray hair at 63 is really strong evidence that these medicines work. You know, I mean, her health is phenomenal. Her energy level was, you know, it's not just that she got up hours before us and did all this work before, you know, any of the younger people could even move. She's hiking the whole way up and down to this Maloka with this basket full of like wood and plants and all of this stuff strapped to her forehead. And, you know, she has no trouble staying ahead of the rest of us. So really an incredible person. If you guys can make it out here, I really think, you know, it's a rare opportunity just to meet someone like Mama Celia. I'm still reeling a little bit from, you know, having spent a day and a half out there with her. And we're going back very soon. So thank you guys for spending this time with me. If you are interested in the retreats, you can email us, the email in the description. Hopefully next live stream I'll be a little bit less tired. I can tell my brain is working in fits, and I got to get on the road. So everybody take care, and we'll see you again very, very soon.